A bottle of Amouage Reflection sells for $320 at retail. The same bottle appears on Amazon for $89. Same box art, same gold cap, same name in the same font. And when it hits your wrist, it lasts 40 minutes and smells like a hotel lobby diffuser on its last cartridge. The real Amouage lasts 12 hours. It opens with frankincense, softens into rose, and dries down to something you'd actually remember. So what exactly arrived in that brown shipping box? That question is the whole test. We purchased fragrances from Amazon, Walmart, eBay, and 5 other stores. Arabian perfumes, primarily oud-heavy, rose-centered, the kind that serious fragrance collectors spend real money chasing. 8 retailers. 3 questions, no exceptions. Does the scent match the documented profile? Does it last? Does the bottle and packaging hold up under inspection? Several failed immediately. One failed in a way that took a full authentication breakdown to explain. Start at the bottom. Worst performers, positions 8 and 7, wish in a handful of unnamed Amazon third-party storefronts. You already sensed something was wrong with these listings. The prices were the first signal. Arabian ouds from established houses like Rasasi, Latafa, and Swiss Arabian rarely drop below $60 for a genuine 100-milliliter bottle. When a listing offers the same volume for $11, your instinct is working correctly. Trust it. Because what those listings are selling is not perfume. It is a category of product that mimics perfume the way a photograph of a meal mimics food. The liquid arrives in a bottle shaped like the real thing. The box uses the same color palette, and the scent, for approximately the first 2 minutes on skin, is in the genera L neighborhood of the original. Then it collapses. Flat. Gone. No heart notes. No bass. Nothing. The machinery behind that collapse is worth understanding. Genuine Arabian perfumes, particularly oud-based compositions from houses operating in the Gulf, use natural agarwood oil, real oud, the ingredient that gives Middle Eastern fragrance its distinctive smoky, animalic, almost medicinal depth. That oil is expensive. Sustainably sourced agarwood can run thousands of dollars per kilogram at the wholesale level. Counterfeiters substitute synthetic oud compounds or, more often, skip the category entirely and use cheap alcohols and low-grade aromatic chemicals. The result smells vaguely correct for 60 seconds. Then your skin reveals the truth. No evolution, no layers, no dry down worth mentioning. What U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement actually found inside seized counterfeit cosmetics and fragrances is worse than cheap chemicals. Cyanide, lead, mercury, urine, rat droppings. That is not a rhetorical flourish. That is a federal agency's published list. And these products are selling with 4-star reviews. How do those reviews exist? That part is not mysterious. Sellers operating on marketplace platforms figured out the rating system years ago. A 2023 investigation found that counterfeit products purchased from third-party Amazon and Walmart marketplace sellers were shipped from U.S. addresses by sellers with average customer ratings above 90%. Above 90. The rating told you nothing. The U.S. address told you nothing. The product was still fake. Amazon seized more than 15 million counterfeit items globally in 2024 alone. That number sounds like enforcement. It is also a measure of volume. 15 million items seized means the pipeline producing them is significantly larger. For every bottle caught, several more are delivered to someone who never suspected a thing, sprayed it twice, and left a 4-star review because the packaging looked right. The packaging question deserves its own section, because it is where most buyers get fooled, and where Arabian fragrance counterfeits are particularly sophisticated. Gulf fragrance houses, particularly Amouage, Clive Christian, and Abdul Samad Al-Qurashi, invest heavily in presentation. Thick glass bottles, precisely molded caps, rigid outer boxes with embossed text and tight cellophane wrap. The cellophane on a genuine bottle is heat-sealed. No loose edges. The printing is crisp and correctly spelled. The batch code on the bottle base matches the batch code stamped on the outer box exactly. Every character. Counterfeits fail at least one of those checkpoints, usually more. Blurry text, glued cellophane, a cap that wobbles slightly, a batch code that doesn't match or doesn't exist at all. These signals are not subtle once you know what you're looking for. The problem is most buyers don't look until after the purchase. Batch codes matter more than most buyers realize. Every legitimate fragrance carries a production code, a string of letters and numbers embedded in the bottle's base and repeated on the packaging. Free online tools. Check Fresh, Check Cosmetic, Beauty Checker, decode those codes in seconds. They tell you when the bottle was manufactured. They flag anomalies. A mismatched code is a strong warning sign. A missing code is a disqualifier. But here is the limitation the fragrance community rarely discusses clearly. A batch code alone cannot confirm authenticity. Counterfeiters copy codes. They stamp a real code onto a fake bottle. So a code that checks out is one weak positive signal, nothing more. Treat it as the beginning of the test, not the conclusion. Scent evolution is the hardest thing to fake, and the most reliable test you have. Authentic Arabian perfumes are built in layers. A top note that arrives first, sharp and volatile, typically citrus or spice, sometimes a burst of aldehydes and older formulations. A heart that reveals itself within 20 minutes, the rose, the oud, the saffron, the resins. A base that settles hours later, deep and warm, the reason these perfumes have been worn in the Gulf for centuries. A genuine eau de parfum concentration holds 6 to 8 hours on skin. A genuine oud concentration, the kind sold by houses like Ajmal or Al Haramain in a tar form, can persist for 12 or more. If a fragrance marketed as eau de parfum disappears in under an hour, you are not experiencing a projection issue. You are holding a different product than the one described on the label. Position 6. Walmart's Marketplace. Not Walmart's own inventory. That distinction is critical, and Walmart does not make it obvious. Walmart's direct stock is consistent. It's real. The marketplace attached to Walmart's website operates under different rules. Third-party sellers list products there with minimal barriers, and those sellers know something useful about your psychology. You're on Walmart's website. The Walmart logo is at the top of your screen. The trust transfers automatically. It shouldn't. When a third-party seller lists a bottle of Rasasi La Yuko Ham on Walmart's marketplace for 42% below retail, that seller is not a Rasasi-authorized dealer. Rasasi's authorized North American distribution is documented. These sellers are not on that list. The product they're shipping is not coming from a Rasasi warehouse. Where it comes from is a better question than most buyers think to ask before clicking purchase. What does a genuine Rasasi La Yuko Home smell like? That matters here because this is a specific fragrance with a documented profile. Incense-heavy opening, a prominent rose and oud heart, a powdery woody base with real persistence. It is a serious fragrance. It projects. It lasts. A counterfeit version purchased through a Walmart marketplace third-party seller smells sharp and one-dimensional for the first few minutes, then disappears. No evolution, no base. The bottle looks approximately correct from a photograph. Hold it in your hand, and the glass feels lighter than it should. The cap mechanism is slightly loose. The cellophane has a visible glue line at the seam. None of those details appear in the listing photos. You see them only after arrival. By then, you're already navigating the return process. Position 5. eBay. eBay deserves a separate category because the platform has an explicit anti-counterfeit policy and an explicit buyer protection program. Sellers must accept returns on fake or misrepresented products. Full refunds. No argument. That policy exists in writing. Real customer experiences suggest enforcement is inconsistent enough to treat the policy as a starting point rather than a guarantee. One buyer purchased what appeared to be a Byroto fragrance from an overseas eBay seller. The listing photos looked correct. The price was discounted but not implausibly low. The product arrived and was immediately identifiable as fake by anyone with a genuine bottle for comparison. The box lettering was subtly wrong. The cap mechanism differed. The scent was a rough approximation. E-item was later removed from eBay entirely. Visit the item URL and the platform returns a blank page. In the buyer's purchase history, the line reads simply, "Removed item." The question that raises is worth sitting with. If eBay removed the listing, they knew something. When exactly did they know it? Overseas sellers compound every problem. Shipping from certain countries adds weeks to delivery, inflates shipping costs, and makes returns genuinely difficult. A buyer who spots a problem only after the package arrives faces an international return process that costs nearly as much as the original purchase. Some overseas counterfeit sellers have learned to account for this calculation. They offer partial refunds, $15 to keep a fake item, then $30 rather than accept returns. One documented case involved a buyer who received the wrong fragrance entirely and was repeatedly offered increasing cash payments to keep it. When the buyer checked the seller's reviews, other buyers described the same pattern. Wrong item. Partial refund offer. Fake product. The same script running on multiple customers simultaneously. Position 4. A specific category of Amazon storefront. Not Amazon itself. Not fulfilled by Amazon necessarily. Third-party storefronts operating on the Amazon platform with Gulf fragrance names, Arabic script in their listings, and product pages that feel authentic. These storefronts have cracked something important about Arabian fragrance buyers. The target audience knows these brands. They know what Al Haramain, Swiss Arabian, and Ajmal are supposed to smell like. So the counterfeits aimed at these buyers are more sophisticated than the generic fakes sold to casual shoppers. They smell closer to the original. They last slightly longer. The packaging is tighter. The batch codes are present and formatted correctly. Some of these operations are, according to fragrance community documentative, Ion, using real juice in the sprayer nozzle, and diluted or entirely different liquid in the bottle below. Spray it 3 times to clear the nozzle. What comes out on sprays 4 and 5 is the actual product. Amazon's response to this problem is documented and revealing. In 2022, a buyer purchased 2 bottles of high-end fragrance from third-party Amazon sellers during the holiday season. Both were fake. Amazon sent replacements from the same seller. Both replacements were also fake. Amazon then issued a refund and instructed the buyer to discard all 4 bottles. 4 bottles. From the same seller. The replacement process routed back through the seller who had already provided fake product twice. Amazon's own representative at the end of that call told the buyer to only purchase fragrance sold directly by Amazon. The platform's internal advice is don't trust the platform's marketplace for this product category. Position 3. Certain department store fragrance counters operating with gray market stock. This requires precision because the problem is not the store itself. It is a sourcing practice that a specific tier of department store fragrance buyer may not know exists. Gray market fragrance is real. The bottle is genuine. The liquid is authentic. The problem is the chain of custody. Authorized distributors for houses like Clive Christian or Amouage sell exclusively through approved retail partners. Gray market stock has been redirected somewhere along the supply chain, often through international distributors in markets with lower price controls. That stock then re-enters American retail through channels the brand did not authorize. The fragrance inside the bottle is real. The freshness is questionable, the batch code may be years old, and the brand has no record of that bottle entering its authorized American distribution network. Why does that matter for Arabian fragrances specifically? Because several Gulf fragrance houses, particularly those in the luxury tier, reformulate periodically. Amouage, for example, has documented reformulation history that fragrance enthusiasts track closely. A gray market bottle with an old batch code may be an older formulation. What it definitely is not is the current product the brand stands behind and the retailer is implying you're purchasing. You're paying current retail for unknown vintage stock that bypassed the brand's authorized channel. The store doesn't tell you that. The label doesn't say it. The only way to know is to decode the batch code and compare it against known formulation change dates documented by the fragrance community. Position 2. A specific set of Amazon listings for Swiss Arabian fragrances. Swiss Arabian is a Dubai-based house with genuine international distribution. Their products, Sheghaf Oud Wa Misk, Ward, are real fragrances with documented scent profiles and loyal followings. They are also among the most counterfeited Arabian fragrance brands in the Amazon marketplace. Because they sit at a price point, $60 to $120 for most bottles, that makes counterfeiting financially worthwhile without triggering immediate skepticism from price-conscious buyers. A genuine Swiss Arabian Sheghaf Oud opens with a dense, smoky oud note and a saffron accent that takes roughly 15 minutes to bloom fully. It lasts. It projects. People in the room notice. A counterfeit version of that. The same bottle produces a thin, sharp, oud-adjacent scent that disappears within the hour and leaves nothing on fabric. These are not subtle differences. They are the entire product. The listings for counterfeit Swiss Arabian products on Amazon often look nearly perfect. Product photography matches official brand assets. Descriptions copy text from Swiss Arabian's own website. Seller ratings hover above 85%. And the review sections contain a mix of genuine enthusiasm from buyers who received authentic stock, furious complaints from buyers who received fakes, and a concerning middle tier of reviews that describe the product as different than expected or not as strong as the tester at the mall. They think they just have a skin chemistry issue. They blame themselves. The seller collects the sale and the 4-star rating simultaneously. Now the stores that earned credit. 3 retailers in this test delivered what the label promised. Authorized fragrance retailers with direct brand relationships and zero tolerance for third-party sourcing in their fragrance departments. Sephora is the most accessible example. Every Arabian fragrance Sephora carries, including their growing selection from houses like Maison Margiela's oud interpretations and curated Gulf imports, arrives through authorized distribution. Direct relationship. Verified chain of custody. Batch codes that match current production. The packaging is tight. The scent profile is exactly documented. When you buy an oud fragrance at Sephora, you are purchasing the product the brand intended you to receive. The premium you pay over a sketchy Amazon listing is not retail markup. It is the cost of the supply chain being honest with you. Ulta Beauty earns the same credit for the same reason. Direct authorization, verified sourcing, and a return policy that doesn't require you to argue your case before receiving what you paid for. Some buyers resist Ulta for Arabian fragrances because Ulta's Gulf fragrance selection remains narrower than specialists. That is fair. The selection is limited. What exists is authentic. For buyers seeking a broader range of oud and rose compositions from houses not yet in mainstream American retail, the third passing grade goes to dedicated online fragrance retailers with documented authorization. Fragrance X, for example, lists its authorized brand partnerships publicly. Prices run 20 to 50% below retail in authentic stock. The discount comes from lower overhead, not from a compromised supply chain. The Amouage question deserves a direct answer, because it opened this test. Can you buy authentic Amouage at a meaningful discount anywhere? Yes. Authorized discounters exist. They operate with legitimate stock, verifiable batch codes, and return policies that hold. The discount is real because their operating costs are lower than Amouage's own boutiques. The discount is not real when it reaches 70% below retail. At that point, the math doesn't work for authentic product. Amouage's cost of goods, genuine agarwood, high-quality musks, the production standards of an Omani royal house does not allow for 70% below retail and a profitable, legitimate sale. When the discount is that deep, something in that equation is missing. Usually, it is the real product. The eBay problem has a specific practical solution worth naming. If you must purchase through eBay, the purchase must be from a seller with documented authorization from the brand. Most major Gulf fragrance houses maintain published authorized retailer lists on their official websites. Check the list before purchasing. Rasasi's authorized American dealers are named on Rasasi's website. Al Haramain's authorized American distribution partners are identifiable through the brand directly. If the eBay seller is not on that list, the price discount they're offering has no legitimate source. The product is either gray market, diverted, or counterfeit. Those three categories have different implications but share one characteristic. None of them are what the listing implies you're buying. The spray test is the last line of defense, and the one most buyers skip because it requires patience. A genuine Arabian eau de parfum, any established house, should produce detectable scent on fabric for a minimum of 4 hours. Spray a small piece of cloth. Wait 4 hours. Smell it. If the scent is gone or barely perceptible, the concentration is wrong. Either the product was diluted, it was mislabeled as a concentration it isn't, or it is not the product described. An authentic oud attar, pure oil concentration, should persist on fabric for 12 to 24 hours. Wrist testing adds another layer. Apply to pulse points. Note the opening. Check back at the 30-minute mark when the heart notes arrive. Check again at 2 hours for the base. A flat, unchanging scent at any of those checkpoints is not a projection issue. It is a formulation issue. The packaging inspection and batch code verification together take under 5 minutes. The wear test takes hours but requires no expertise. The comparison between what a verified source at a boutique or Sephora smells like and what arrived from a marketplace listing requires a reference point, but one sample strip from an authorized counter provides that reference for free. The tools to avoid getting sold a fake Arabian fragrance cost nothing and require nothing beyond the patience to use them. Most buyers skip the process entirely, receive a product that disappears in 40 minutes, blame their skin, and leave a review that helps the next buyer make the same mistake. The final category worth addressing is the Walmart direct inventory result, separate from the marketplace problem already covered. Walmart's direct fragrance stock is limited. The Gulf fragrance selection is thin. Latafa Bade Aluid appears. Ajmal occasionally. These are lower-tier productions from legitimate houses, priced appropriately for what they are. The product inside the bottle is what the label says it is. Walmart's own sourcing, unlike its marketplace hosting, is traceable and consistent. What Walmart cannot offer is the breadth, the depth, or the authenticity guarantees of a specialized fragrance retailer with brand relationships. The oud fragrance on Walmart's shelf is real oud fragrance. It is also the entry-level expression of what Gulf Perfumery produces, and it is sitting next to a marketplace tab on the same website that will sell you something that shares only the name.